Welcome to the CounterAct YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us for this short video tutorial.
Good afternoon, it's Phil from Border Motor Systems. We've got Nick, who's going to be doing most of the work. So hello, Nick.
Hello again.
And Christian, who's also here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Right, so this webinar this afternoon, we're going to talk about BarTender, which is a specific piece of label software that we've integrated with CounterAct. And the reason we've integrated it with CounterAct is that although you've always been able to produce labels from CounterAct, you've always been extremely limited in the way that they look and the options that you've got to the flexibility to what you produce. So what we've decided to do, what we did is integrated CounterAct into this label software called BarTender, which Nick will show you in a moment, and really give you complete flexibility over what you can produce and how your labels look. And so what we're going to do in this next half an hour is really show you how it works and tell you a little bit more about it. I would say if you're still having trouble hearing us, I hope that's not the case, but we are recording this webinar as well, and we'll put it on the YouTube channel afterwards. So if you haven't got time to listen to all of it, you can pop on there tomorrow and catch up on there. So I'll let Nick carry on, and hopefully we won't have any more technical problems.
Good afternoon. So I thought the best place to start is just to talk about why we've gone for BarTender. So why did we go to BarTender? Some of the advantages that allows you. So you're allowed several label designs. So we're aware that the current label printing process has become quite limited. So what you can produce, there wasn't a scope for producing bespoke labels, that kind of stuff. BarTender allows you that flexibility. It gives you that control to produce whatever labels you want. You're not limited to a size or specific printer. So you can really use the whatever your existing equipment is that you've got. It also works with other programs, things like Excel and things like that. So you're not limited just to CounterAct, but obviously we've done the integration work there. There's more functionality, so you can print different size labels. You can put on pictures. You can do QR codes, barcodes, things like that. It's easy to use. We'll run through that in a second, show you how easy it is to use. Just from a technical point of view, it's a Windows-based piece of software, so it will need access to the SAM directory. Don't worry, we'll set all that up for you, but it will need to be able to see the CounterAct server. It'll also need to have access to all the printers that you want to print to, so you can have BarTender on one PC and print your labels at multiple branches, things like that, but that printer does need to be visible on your network. And it can run on a server or it can run on a PC. Again, that's up to you. The one thing we would say is that PC or server needs to be visible at all times. So if you installed that on somebody's PC and they go home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you try and print some labels at 4 o'clock, it's going to sit in the queue until they turn that PC back on and BarTender starts up again. So how does it work? So it uses the information stored in your price book to produce an extract. BarTender picks that extract up, converts it with your label template, and then sends it to the printer of your choice. Just to give you an idea of what sort of labels you can produce, I've done a couple of samples. So if we start at the top, you've got some very sort of basic hook labels with just a description and a price and a barcode on. Come a little bit further down, then we've got a static logo, rack locations. We've now got the option to have product photos on there, so if you store product images within the system, it can pick up those product images and put them on your label. All the way down to producing things like marketing information. Again, this is pulling all the information out of CounterAct, QR codes, barcode, nice big photo. So really the flexibility is there for whatever you want it to do. So I thought the best thing to do is just run through how that process works. So we'll start by going into CounterAct and producing a label from there. So I enter into the product label printing within CounterAct. So a couple of options that I got. I can choose particular location, or I can choose all my branches, all my locations. In this selection here, I've got the choice of using a manual selection, so that's going to allow me to choose down here, or I could print everything that's changed since a certain date, or I can reprint a label run if I needed to. We can leave that as manual selection. The styler label. So against each of the labels, you can set a style, or you can which you can pick up. So this is that label defined for each product, or you can say I just want to produce shelf labels for this particular type. We'll leave that as it is. Current or future date for your pricing. So product selection allows you to choose a list of racks, a list of suppliers, a price book page. I'm going to choose a range of products. I'm going to go for Rocker, so I'm just going to choose those. And I'm going to click OK. So you can use the product type selection and the activity to really limit down what's on your template. What's on your extract. I'm just going to press OK on there. And what that's done, it said that's sent to BarTender for processing. So what that does is that produces a CSV extract. If I just open that up, you can see from there, so we've got our stock location, so our branch, product ID, descriptions, prices, and then as we come across, you've got things like whether it's on promotion, the barcode, the quick code, racks. So if you've got multiple racks, you'll get 2 lines in here for the same product, so you can have 2 labels. And then on the very end, we've got the image location, so that's going to be the image that pulls through to the label.
So CounterAct's producing the information of this extract, and then BarTender's going to format it, isn't it?
Absolutely right. So if we jump into BarTender, and I'm just going to create a really rough label from scratch just to show you how easy it is to do. So I'm going to click on New. The first question is asking me, it's very much like using Word or anything like that. Do you want to do a new one or load an existing one? We'll load a new template, create a new template. It's then saying which printer do you want it to print to as your default. Now you can change this as you go along. We're just going to leave it as an A4 printer. It then gives you the choice of whether you want to set up your own label. So if you're printing onto A4 paper or card and you're going to cut them, or whether you want to use predefined label stocks of things like Avery labels, where you can choose a sort of address labels and things like that. You can use those. We're going to just do our own. It then allows you to choose your paper size, and whether it's printing portrait or landscape, what style of label you use, and whether they're rectangular, rounded edge ones, circles, etc., etc. You then have to put in the margins in. So this is all about setting up the template of the paper that you're using. It then asks you to say how many labels you're printing on that page size. So again, you can adjust that. You can see on the right it's changing that design. We'll just leave that as that. And then again, because we've given it all that information, it's then come on and said, well, if that's the criteria you're using, that's going to be the size of your label. Again, you can change that. You can put a gap or a pitch between each of the labels if that's something that you wanted to do. We're just going to leave that all as it is. Finally, it asks in which order do you want to print the labels in. Again, that's up to you. You can also set in different color backgrounds, put pictures in your backgrounds, anything like that. Again, it comes down to what capability your printer's got. If you've got a label printer, it may not be color, it may not have a great image resolution, but it's there to play around with.
And you can use this on the sort of label printers that people have. There's proper specific style label printers or any other, can't you? As well as laser printers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's whatever you've got. It just saves the need to buy any sort of specific label printers. So I finished. So what that's done is that's taken me into the designer for that label. So the first thing that I want to do is connect that to that database. Again, we'll run all this through with you. If you decide to go down this route, we'll set up some labels with you. We'll talk through how to do that. I'm going to click on this little database connection setup wizard at the top. And again, it sort of shows you the areas where you can import from. We're going to use a CSV file, so I'm just going to click next. And I'm going to choose my file. Again, once you've done this, once you've set your template up, you don't need to go through this process again. So you can see that's linking through that data that we just saw in that CSV file. And I can just finish on that. You can do things, just I click through that, where you can do things like filtering that data before it gets into BarTender, but usually you will do that when you do your extract from CounterAct. So you can see now on the left hand side, I've got all those columns sorted alphabetically to insert into my label. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a text line in there. So I've got some insert icons on the top. So if I click and choose text, and I can put a sample piece. So all that's done is put a text box onto our label. And if I wanted to say, let's say I want to use description line 1, I simply drag and drop that in there, and that puts that description line onto our label. And I can scroll through that data that I added, and I can see it changing. Make sure I'm happy with that. You can lock the position of that, you can rotate it, you can do whatever you want to do. So let's say the next thing I wanted to do on here would be to add a price. Let's put a price into our, so again, that's text. So I've dragged that across there, and we'll just pick up a text. We'll go for retail, including VAT, drop that on there. Now, as you can see, that's just brought through the price. It hasn't put any currency formatting on there. So again, I can right click on there and look at the properties. And I can change that data type to say that instead of being text, I want it to be currency. And I can set my format. It's giving you the example down there. So if I just close that, you can see that it's now got the pound symbol and the decimal place, etc. on there. The other thing that I can do in properties, because I said that was retail excluding VAT, including VAT, sorry, I can choose to put a prefix or a suffix on there. So if I said on there, it's now including that in there. Again, you might want to make that part of your template and just put a text box in to do that. Entirely up to you. The flexibility is there. You can do clever things like saying if that field is empty, hide it from there so you don't just get a blank field saying ink VAT. Lots of different choices that you can do on there. The other thing that you can do is add images. So if we go and insert a picture, so I'm just going to choose a logo and stick that on there. So that's a static image that's going to stay the same on every label. If I wanted to link through to the CounterAct images, I can do that as well. So if I choose to insert a picture from our database, so get database name from file name from database, and I pop that on there, and I choose JPEG. So it's putting that's the name of the field within that CSV file. You can see that that the images are on there, and as I go through, you can see those images are changing.
So that's if you store images in graphical product images in graphical.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it picks up the location for those and takes the image name from the product code. The other thing that obviously you can do is add a barcode. So let's click a barcode, and again I can drag and position that as I wish. And I can choose one of my fields to barcode. So let's use product code. And there you go. That's created that as a product code. And exactly the same way, you can create QR codes. Apologies for the design of my label. I'm already running out of space. Again, if I take the product code and stick that in there, that's created a QR code for that product code. So you can do things like rotating images. You can do multiple labels per line of the extract if you want. I think on this particular data set that we're using, if I just create another text field, because we've got what looks like duplicated data in there, it will be because there are different rack numbers. So if I just drag rack number in there, you can see that my rack number is changing, but everything else is remaining the same. So I've got 2 racks per item. So that's really how easy it is to use. You can then print that to the printer. You can then save that as your template, and we show you how to say that's the template to use for each of the label designs. So from a design point of view, that's pretty much everything. So really, it's what I'd like to see as the next stage. I will hand back over to Phil.
So, as to say, it's a third-party piece of software. So we basically sell it as a complete package. Cost is £1,000, and there's a £25 per month, £25 per month maintenance fee. We'll basically supply the automation version of the software, which is the version that you need to allow for sort of full integration. And as Nick says, once you set your templates up, it's really very straightforward to use from CounterAct, and we'll help you, guide you through that process and sort of train you on how to use it. I would say if you're interested, probably the first thing to do is just drop us a quick email, either support or direct to myself. We can set you up a test copy of it to have a play with. You can have an evaluation version of it, and you can have a play with it for 30 days, see how you get on with it. As I say, once you've had a play with the label design, it's very straightforward to do. I think that's it. I think, as I say, this is going to be our label solution moving forward because it is so flexible. And so, if you're looking to do a bit more with labels, then I'd suggest, drop us an email and we'll set you up a test version of it. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching and listening. As I say, we're going to put this up on our YouTube channel as well, so you can watch it as many times as you like. As I say, I'll send out links to that probably tomorrow or next week, and also I'll be sending out links quite shortly to other webinars that we're going to be running probably for the next quarter. So that's it. Thanks for listening, and see you again. Say goodbye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you for watching this short tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us on the information displayed on the screen for further assistance.